guys, welcome to today's Bookmas video. Today we're going to be doing a recap of my bookish goals from this last year and seeing how I did. One thing I did different for my goals this last year, for my personal goals and for my bookish goals, was I created a checklist that I looked at on a regular basis. It turns out if you want to remember your goals, having them written down somewhere where you look at them frequently is a great idea. That all being said, I did much better with my bookish goals this year than my personal goals. I think I tried to stretch myself a little bit too much for my personal goals, but let's get into the bookish goals. So just to give you I don't know if it's going to be a brief example here. Let's see if I can get this. I made little check marks for myself, or like check boxes, I guess. And then when I finished things, I colored them in, and when I didn't do them, I X'd them out. And technically the year's not over, but I think I have either completed or completely not all the goals that I'm going to this year. So last year I did a video sharing my bookish goals, and then because comments and things, I ended up tweaking them a little bit. So if you were to go back and watch last year's video, you'll notice these goals aren't 100% the ones I shared, but these are the ones I was working off of throughout the year. The first thing I wanted to do was keep up with Goodreads, because prior to January, I was pretty much just inputting books into Goodreads like every 3 months. I would just keep my reading journal and then I would go and bulk update Goodreads, which I would not recommend doing. And I will say that I have been successful with this. I have not always updated my books like the second that I'm done them or added them the second I start them, but I have been really good at it, much better than the previous years. So first goal is a success. The next goal I had was to start using Storygraph and then stay consistent if I like it. And I did give Storygraph a try, and it turns out I don't really like it. I think I could like it, but now I have so much stuff on Goodreads, and I know you can import Storygraph stuff, but it felt like I was already so invested into Goodreads. Things didn't transfer over properly, and I didn't really like it. I still want to like Storygraph. Maybe if you guys have some tips on how to do that, I would like to give it another try. I do like the stats that it will spit out at the end of the month or the year or whatever. It has a lot more for stats, and it looks much nicer than Goodreads. I can't remember all the reasons I didn't really like it. I think, were you even allowed to switch different editions of books at the time I was using it? I'm not sure. There was just a few things that made it difficult, and I don't really want to do Goodreads and Storygraph, because I'm barely keeping up with Goodreads as it is. Do I want to add something else in? I would like some tips, because I'm still open to it, but I started at the beginning of the year and then realized it's not what I want to do. So I kind of completed this goal, but I completed it by not doing it, if that makes sense. I marked it as an X, as an incomplete, but I did give it a try. Then I had read 7 books off of my classics TBR. So I have a list of 50 classics I want to read before I die. I have a blog post, and I read, actually I think more than 7. That's actually what's in the very front of my binder here. I have highlighted in orange all the ones I read this year. So I read Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, Northanger Abbey, Jane of Lantern Hill, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, The Turn of the Screw, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's one extra, although I will admit The Turn of the Screw, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy are all quite short. Tenant of Wildfell Hall is quite long, actually. Northanger Abbey is pretty short. So this next year I already shared my goals, but one of them was to read longer books, and I want to tackle some of these longer classics, but I did it. I think it's only supposed to take me 7 years to get to all of the books on this list. If I keep going with reading 7 books a year, I might be able to finish it earlier. I actually squeezed one in last year before the end of the year and read Agnes Grey. So I did that goal. If you guys want to see the list, like I said, it will be linked. I'd be curious to know which ones from that list you're interested in me reading this next year. I definitely need to do some big ones. I was thinking maybe Gone with the Wind, maybe I need to finish Uncle Tom's Cabin. I've tried starting that one multiple times. Oh, Les Mis. Yeah, there's a lot of long ones. that I should probably read this year. Okay, so that's like 2 out of 3 so far, and then things take a downhill turn here. The next goal was get my physical TBR to 30, minus classics and series that I've already started. Can you guys see these bookshelves behind me there? Do you see those? Is that under 30? I don't think so. No, I quickly crossed this one off pretty early in the year. I realized I like buying books, and yes, I do want to be reading books that I own. I think I'm going to be tacking on changing my reading habits a little bit in 2023. I think I'm going to have a video about that in the next few weeks. But I like having bookshelves of books. During COVID, did I run out of books to read? No, I did not. Did other people contact me because they ran out of books to read? Yes, they did. I like being that person that has the books. And then my next one, so I definitely failed, crossed that one out. My next one was read books within 3 months of buying them. This kind of goes with like mood reading. Yes, I want to be reading the books that I buy, but I'm okay if they sit there longer. Yeah, so I got over that one and crossed that one off pretty quickly. Next goal was to do VLOGMAS/bookmas again. I'm currently doing it. I already crossed this off as done because even if this is the last video that goes up, I feel like I've given it a good try. I've made it all the way to what day is this one going to be posted? I'm not sure, like the 20th maybe? 19th? I don't know. I feel like I've done a pretty good job, and I always have fun with it. I might do things differently for next year and just do a video every other day, but we'll see. Chantel in the middle of Bookmas can't make these decisions. Next one is make a list of reading challenges to participate in. So I did make a blog post with a bunch of different reading challenges at the beginning of the year, and I meant to keep it up. I didn't keep it up, but I did make a list. So I like kind of completed this one because I did make the list, but I didn't keep it up. There are so many reading challenges. I'm going to be making a new list for 2023, just listing all the reading challenges. And I have been writing them down in my newsletter as well. If you guys go to the description, there's always a link to sign up for my newsletter. I send out all sorts of things like what I'm currently reading. Now I've started doing new releases and reading challenges that I hear of and stuff. So I'm going to do this again next year, a little better, but I did do it. The next one was complete the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. And yes, I did it and enjoyed it again. Already announced year 4 of the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. The next one I had was make 10 more bookish products / variations for the shop. Yes, I made a bunch, actually more than 10. There's still some available in the shop, although my favorite, the Fox and Sons Books shirt, is pretty much sold out in the color that I have, that I own it in. It's also available in a chocolate, but the sandstone color that I have is pretty much sold out, which is too bad. Originally I planned on continuing doing products in the new year. Not sure I will. We'll see. But I did make more than 10 products. Then I had, originally my goal was to read an Agatha Christie a quarter, and then I decided to up it to 1 a month and realized I don't like monthly goals, like read this in January, read this in February. Generally, I just like the idea of reading 12, but I did manage to read 1 a month, sometimes actually more than 1 a month. So in January, I read The Crooked House. I have a video sharing my process trying to solve that one. I don't know how that one didn't make my list of favorites. It really should have. February, I read Death on the Nile, have another video for that. March was 450 from Paddington, have another video for that. April was The Secret Adversary, pretty sure I have a video for that. May, Why Didn't They Ask Evans? I think that might be my last video. Then June was Murder on the Links. July, Partners in Crime. August, N or M. September, By the Pricking of My Thumbs. October, Postern of Fate. November, The Pale Horse. And December here, I already read When to Buckle My Shoe. So I read at least 12 Agatha Christie. I know some months I read an extra one, so that's good. I like to space her books out so they don't get all jumbled. And I definitely had some really good winners in this year's selection. The next goal I had created was to host a You've Got Mail readathon, and I did that in September. Definitely tempted to do it again next year. We'll see how it goes. Really enjoyed it though. Loved making a readathon that was based around my favorite bookish movie. Okay, And then this was a big one. My goal was to do a giveaway each month on either YouTube, Instagram, or my newsletter, and I did it. They were either, yeah, variety of places. January's was on YouTube, February's was on Instagram, March was in my newsletter, April was in my newsletter, May was on YouTube, June was Instagram, July was newsletter. Oh, August was on the Hey Reader site, and so was September, because that was part of the You've Got Mail readathon. October was my newsletter, November was Instagram, and December was YouTube. So I had a lot of fun with that, although there were some months where I like barely squeezed it in at the end of the month because I forgot about it. Once again, would rather do 12 instead of 1 per month, but I managed it. Then I had a goal that's kind of hard to like calculate, but it was be okay with books spanning multiple months, because especially at the beginning of the year I'd been doing monthly reading wrap-ups and I didn't like carrying a book over, but I got over it. I finished the Stormlight Archive. Some of those books spanned multiple months, and this next year, especially with me wanting to read more big books, I'm gonna have to be okay with it. Then I wanted to bring back Patreon, and yes, I did that. I love my Patreon community. I kind of wish I could just make it free for everybody. I wish Patreon had like a gift membership thing I could do. I don't like that they don't, but I really like the book club, the page count reading challenge, the special vlogs that I do for them. I really enjoy all of it. The community, I have got so many good book recommendations from YouTube, but also specifically Patreon. I feel like those people are a little bit more tuned in to my reading tastes, and it's a lot of fun. I have dreams of maybe adding more to that next year after I take a little break here after Bookmas and kind of figure out what I want to do. Okay, and then the last goal that I had, bookish goal, was to participate in Buzzwordathon, which is hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala, and I did it. I printed out her reading challenge printable, and sometimes I changed the books I had planned on reading. Some of them got crossed out, but I enjoyed it. I finished it. I don't think I'm gonna do it again. I feel like the Read Your Bookshelf challenge, I just want 1 year-long challenge, and that's the one I'm gonna be doing, but I did have fun with it. And I know she announced her next year's already. I do want to go watch it just for fun, because I like seeing what people come up with, and hers are unique because it's, I think, all the ones I know of, and it's kind of like in the title, the Buzzwordathon, I think they all have to do with words in the title, whereas my reading challenge, you know, can do with colors and all sorts of other things. I like that she kind of limits herself. So those are my bookish goals for 2022, how I did. Fairly successful. I feel like I'm learning my reading tastes and how I should challenge myself. How did you guys do on, if you set reading goals and book goals, how did you do this last year? It's totally okay to not set goals, but I really like them. So I'd be curious to know which ones you did great at, which ones you maybe failed at. Let's just talk about goals and book things in the comments. I will see you guys again tomorrow for one of the last videos of Bookmas.